Hello and welcome to Neoclock Talks, my little video series talking about my specific collection of OC's original characters known as Neoclocks. This is the introductory video talking about my interests that inspire these characters and what exactly a Neoclock is. Each episode of the series will go over one or more if they're based on the same thing or something very similar Neoclocks, discussing what they're based on, their designs, little facts, and whatever else I feel like talking about. More episodes will be added as I eventually make more characters. There might even be revised episodes where I redo a Neoclock's video if the original video has become outdated or if I've made major changes to the character. With that out of the way, let's get to what originally inspired these OCs. At the time of making this video, I'm currently a year into an interest on neo-futurists, specifically in Chicago. They're an experimental theory group originating from Chicago, Illinois. However, there are also New York and San Francisco neo-futurists. As I just said, my interest is specifically the Chicago neo-futurists. They're particularly known for performing a show called The Infinite Wrench, previously performing a very similar show titled Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. How it works is that during a show, there are 30 short plays and exactly 60 minutes for them to try to perform all those plays. The audience is given a menu of the 30 plays with their corresponding numbers and titles. When the show begins, the audience yells out the number of whatever play they want to see. Once the play chosen is performed, then the audience yells out the number of whatever play they want to see next, and then it basically just repeats like that until either all the plays are performed, or the clock runs out and the show has to end. I tried to explain that as simply as possible there to avoid confusion, but there's definitely way more to it. As for the plays themselves, they could be comedic, tragic, completely nonsensical, political, and whatever else. I guess that's basically it. Again, there's a lot more to it. Different shows can be performed. There's a short film based on a play that'll be mentioned in an episode for a specific Neoclock later. I don't know. Okay, now that I said all of that, I have a confession to make. I have never seen a show from the Neo-Futurists in person. Yeah, the person making an entire video series about their OCs based on stuff from the Neo-Futurists hasn't seen a single show in person. Look, I don't live anywhere near Chicago, let alone Illinois at all. I'm trapped in a lovely weather nightmare state known as Florida. So with that knowledge, how did I even find out about this? I mean, I pretty much never see people actively talk about the Neo-Futurists online, so really, how did I even find out? Well, and for some reason I still get embarrassed explaining this, the answer is simple. Before all of this, I was fixated on Jackbox games. Don't believe me? Look at the fan art I've made on the screen right now. Those who immediately caught on to how these two are related win the free prize of absolutely nothing. For those who don't know and are probably questioning what the correlation even is, I'm not going to keep you wandering in the dark. So my favorite character from Jackbox games is Schmitty, who is voiced by Phil Witterelli. He voices a couple of other host characters for Jackbox, and he was part of the active ensemble for Neo-Futurists for a long time. Basically, what happened was that one of my friends, also fixated on Jackbox, one day got curious about this thing we know nothing about, and pretty much invited me to look up the Neo-Futurists on YouTube and watch whatever we ran into. We watched maybe 5 different videos, including that short film I vaguely mentioned that will be important later. I actually enjoyed watching those random videos. I thought they were pretty fun and entertaining. I also thought nothing of the fact I liked whatever I watched until a month later where my brain goes, "Can I have more of this?" And suddenly, I cannot stop thinking about whatever Neo-Futurist stuff I watched. Ever heard of a hyperfixation coming completely out of nowhere? That's what it was! And so, I was fixating on both Jackbox and the Neo-Futurists, occasionally making characters based on whatever I saw that I found interesting and inspired my little character-creating brain. Of course, all the while I was making my regular Jackbox-rated fan art. These two fixations were practically playing tennis with my brain up until late December on Christmas Eve, when I got my hands on a 1997 Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind CD, which I immediately listened to and was the final nail in the coffin for me. I went from Jackbox being my main interest, with the Neo-Futurists being something I was also fixating on the side, to switching up and having the Neo-Futurists be my main interest with Jackbox on the side. And then in January, it just ended up completely taking over, and Jackbox just became something I like a lot and talk about sometimes. Not exactly fixating on it anymore, and barely ever making fan art. Okay, that might have gone to rambling territory, and I hope that didn't make me look insane or something. That was a lot, but that's basically what happened. Ever since, I've collected some books or collections of various plays written for specifically Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind, and I have a shirt, and about 2 months ago, at the time of making this video at least, I started paying to be a shorty on the Neo-Futurist Patreon. Oh, and now I make even more art of the characters I made inspired by different stuff from the Neo-Futurists, which finally brings me to this. Neo-Clocks are the characters I've created based on various things from the Neo-Futurists. Different shows, plays, and other stuff can inspire the creation of a Neo-Clock. As implied by the name, they're like clock robots. There's no specific deep reason behind this, they're clocks just because I love clocks a lot. You can obviously tell this because my Sona, what you're looking at right now, is a clock. The majority of my OCs in general are clocks. While I don't expect other people to make Neo-Clocks except for my close friends maybe, other people can absolutely make Neo-Clocks if they wanted. They just need to be a clock based on something from Neo-Futurists, from any location, not just Chicago, and not cross any boundaries, obviously. So far, all the Neo-Clocks I've created have a hexagon shape as a head. However, if someone does actually want to make their own Neo-Clock, you don't have to do this. It's just how I tend to draw them, it's not rule or anything. Also, you can totally base a Neo-Clock off of something that another Neo-Clock is already based on. I promise I will not care if there's another one based on, say, Crisis, the musical game show. I came up with the name for the Neo-Clocks as a group randomly, and it just kinda stuck. The Neo-Clocks shouldn't be taken too seriously. They don't have a huge story or anything, I just make them as a form of fan art and a way to express my interest. Although they may have some tiny tidbits of lore to give them character, writing-wise. As for what I consider to be important notes about the Neo-Clocks, they are not meant to be embodiments of whatever they're based on. And they are especially not meant to be directly based on or represent actual Neo-Futurists. In fact, I tend to avoid anything that I see as way too personal when it comes to getting inspired to make another Neo-Clock. Again, these characters shouldn't be taken extremely seriously, as they're just meant to be silly characters I make interact with each other to express my interest. And probably the most vital thing to know, it is very likely that I'm going to accidentally misinterpret or miss something when it comes to making any Neo-Clock. Especially any Neo-Clocks based on shows I haven't and or cannot see. I rely on existing clips, summaries, and reviews for knowledge on entire shows when making Neo-Clocks based on those. So forgive me if I get something wrong or misinterpret something. Believe me, this will become extremely obvious with a specific duo. Okay, I think that explains everything you need to know in this introduction. I hope you enjoy this series of OC info dumps. See you in the first episode, which I should upload along with this introduction video.